Plus, I'll show you the science behind what caused all the damage in Pinson yesterday in that severe storm. Plus, how neighboring states are helping as the Northeast digs out from this week's record-setting blizzard.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
All right, thanks for joining us for Weather Extra. Tania joining us again here after a very busy First Alert weather day. It's incredible how quickly this weather can change.
I know, complete 180. I mean, we've had a beautiful sunset though, and we've got more beautiful conditions as we head into the weekend. Tell us about the next big thing, Wes.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about those lows tonight down to into the 40s. Maybe some foggy weather tomorrow morning. Got to watch out for that, especially after all the rain we had last night. If you're about to head out for this Friday evening though, we've got 50s and 60s at the moment. It's down with the temperatures again tonight, but just how cold, not necessarily expecting freezing conditions, but we'll see lows down into the 40s. But high pressure now taking over, and we've got the wind out of the north. That high becomes centered right over us tomorrow, and I tell you that because with that pressure gradient sort of leveling off, the winds will back off, so it won't be super windy tomorrow. We'll have a light breeze out of the northeast direction. But here you go with the lows overnight down to into the 40s, 46 for Center, 43 at Gadsden. Still bundle up weather. It's certainly some sweater weather at least tomorrow morning. 42 at Coleman, 42 at Jasper, and 45 in Tuscaloosa. There's Hoover, Birmingham in the mid-40s. It's going to be one of those weekends where we're going to be having to dial in that thermostat quite a bit here over the next few days, especially tomorrow and Sunday, because we start out like this, but afternoon highs right there around 70 degrees, but it's going to feel very nice later in the day tomorrow. Here's some of the new data with the fog model. This is the last hour's update here, showing where we might see some of those higher visibility impacts, maybe East Alabama early in the day tomorrow. Again, with all the rain that we've had and with some sunshine today around the lakes and rivers, especially such a drop in temperatures tonight, there's going to be some patchy fog development early tomorrow morning, but that will quickly give way. By 7, 8 o'clock, we'll start to clear out. We'll have beautiful sunshine, a nice Saturday coming up, highs around 72, 73 degrees there during the afternoon hours, and again, that wind just out of the northeast there around 4 to 8 miles per hour. But overall, the weekend outlook very nice. One change Sunday, maybe a few more clouds mixing in, but that temperature around 76 degrees. So looking good for this weekend. Now next week, the heat starts to build. Will that lead to a threat for storms later next week? Something we're going to dive into, all coming up right here on Weather Extra.
Probably wondering what a microburst is. Maybe you live in the Pinson area and you are almost certain that a tornado went through your local area. Well, the National Weather Service surveyed the damage and they confirmed it as a microburst. So what's the difference? Well, a microburst looks like this. It's a blast, matter of fact, a powerful blast of downward air that surges down to the surface, and it feels very, very intense. But the difference here is that, yes, it comes down from a really strong and powerful storm, but now it spreads outward, and that causes straight line damage. And that's why we saw toppled trees, power lines down, and yes, lots of damage that easily could have looked like a tornado. But here's the difference between a microburst and a tornado. A microburst doesn't involve rotation. Or a tornado, you need some spin, you need some wind shear. That's one of the main ingredients for a tornado. But yes, it may feel very similar because it is indeed powerful, and it can very much impact you, your home, structures, and the whole 9 yards. We'll talk more about what the National Weather Service is saying from yesterday's storms right here on First Alert Weather Extra. All right, let's walk through our First Alert weather headlines. Welcome back in. I'm First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle. Number one, we could see some dense fog tomorrow morning, but we're going to see a chilly start to the day tomorrow. Matter of fact, it's going to be chilly this evening. If you have any plans, grab that sweater and that jacket. And if you have an early start tomorrow, you'll need it as well. But you really won't need it for the afternoon. We'll heat up quickly. The sun comes out. We've got spring-like conditions both Saturday and Sunday with temperatures in the 70s. But could we see 80s next week? That's the big question. I'm tracking above average temperatures, and we'll talk more about that full 10-day, plus a look at that beyond the 10-day forecast later here on First Alert Weather Extra. But more about what the National Weather Service found after they surveyed the damage across central Alabama from yesterday's severe thunderstorm that rolled through the Pinson and the Trussville area. The National Weather Service has confirmed damage in the Pinson area came from a microburst. The most intense damage happened in an area about a mile long and about 1,000 yards wide. Top winds are estimated between 70 and 75 miles per hour, and damage in the Trussville area was from an EF0 tornado. Top winds there were about 85 miles per hour. All the damage in two separate areas is why the National Weather Service says you should always be prepared and take action when a severe warning is issued.
Always take severe thunderstorm warnings seriously. We can get small tornadoes, we can get microbursts like this. When there's a severe thunderstorm warning, we issue those for a reason. And they can be very life-threatening.
The damage path from the Trussville tornado was 1.63 miles long. It started near the intersection of Highway 11 and Taylor Road. Headed southeast, then it ended along Queenstown Road. So yeah, we followed it, we tracked it for you here, and we gave you all that first alert. But NASA is adding a new step to its historic moon landing mission. The Artemis II mission's goal is to carry 4 astronauts around the moon. It's expected to take off in the coming weeks after resolving a helium flow issue that caused the rocket to be rolled back into the vehicle assembly building. Artemis III, designed to land astronauts on the moon's lunar south pole by 2028, is now expected to launch in 2027, but without a moon landing. As for Artemis IV, an attempt for the actual lunar landing will be made in 2028.
You look at the time when Apollo 7 splashed down to when Apollo 8 launched, you're approximately 2 months apart. We need to start getting back to basics and moving in this direction. So rebuilding the civil servant workforce and restoring core capabilities. Again, that will directly contribute to NASA's launch cadence, where we're going to endeavor to get our launches inside of a year, specifically down to potentially 10 months.
The Artemis II mission is not expected to take place until early April. The record amount of snow that fell during the blizzard in the Northeast wasn't the most surprising thing that happened during the storm. Coming up, what people in one townhome complex saw that had them both perplexed and even scared.
Explore the wonders of weather with Weather in the Classroom. Scan the QR code now to help your kids soar to new heights with Soar with 6.
As we get closer to the end of winter, a trip somewhere warm would be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, it certainly would. That brings us to our next story. An endangered turtle named Lucky was stuck in Canada this winter, but that's about to change. As Juliana Grillo tells us, a team is helping Lucky get back to warmer waters.
Hypothermic, weak, and emaciated. That's how Lucky the juvenile sea turtle was found in Digby back in the fall, when it is far too late and far too cold for her to swim back south. She's a Kemp's Ridley sea turtle, a species so endangered that it experienced a 90% population decline in the last 75 years. These turtles travel north to feed in the summer, and then back to their warm Caribbean waters in the rest of the year. After months of specialized care at the Atlantic Veterinary College in PEI, Lucky is traveling to the Bahamas. But it's not as easy as just booking a ticket.
So you need a lot of permits. You're not allowed to just move endangered species across international borders. The United States government had gone into its shutdown when Lucky first arrived, which means that this just wasn't a viable option in this case, and we had to look at different possibilities. And we were thrilled that Bahamas was willing to take Lucky. It's at Atlantis Paradise Island, which is a resort that's pretty well known, I think, in our area, but also has this amazing animal care facility and rehabilitation facility.
Martin is traveling with Lucky's veterinarian. They carried bags with small heaters, blankets, and other things to keep this tropical animal cozy.
Initially, the plan was to get in the vehicle, travel directly from Charlottetown to Halifax and get on a plane, but the snowstorm made that a big challenge. So we actually had to come a full day early and then figure out how to logistically care for an aquatic sea turtle in a hotel environment. As you can imagine, that faced lots of challenges. And so we brought that type of salt I mentioned that's specific for aquatic species, and we mixed that in a bathtub full of water, but even little things like making sure we clean and disinfect the tub so there's no residue, for example, from previous shampoo or body lotions and things like that might have been in it. Those things are all details we take into account.
When Lucky arrives, a team in Atlantis Paradise Island, Bahamas will take her to her new temporary home. She will stay in the Wildlife Center in quarantine for a month until she's cleared to be released.
Crews in Philadelphia are working around the clock in some neighborhoods to clean the debris left behind after the powerful blizzard that hit earlier this week. As Greg Payne reports, while there is damage, people in the area say it could have been so much worse.
The buzzing of chainsaws filling the neighborhoods of Philadelphia, a day after nearly 14 inches of snow and blizzard winds pounded the city, leaving behind downed trees and much damage.
3 to 3:30 in the morning, I was kind of like half asleep, and then I heard a large crash, and I looked out the window. My window's right up here, and saw that big branch hit those two cars.
So it's no wonder why Michael Suh was so happy to see crews on his block of Wallace Street in Fairmount, chipping away and clearing out the debris.
I'm glad. Hopefully these cars aren't damaged too much. But yeah, just hoping the street gets back open again.
And that's the main mission for Jimmy's Tree and Landscaping Contractors.
1700 Green Street, which is done. 1719 Wallace Street, which we're finishing up now. There's actually was two on Wallace.
Owner Jim Long says they are whacking away at these trees as quickly as possible.
I've been real busy. We got done the snow roughly around 1 o'clock in the morning last night, and we got a list this morning with about 22 locations throughout the city to get the trees cleared and removed.
One of those locations, Rumford Road in East Mount Airy, where a large tree fell on top of a vehicle and blocked the roadway.
It was pretty intense. We had about 3 trees fall down here, and all within, during the storm. I mean, it happened right after the storm too. We just kept hearing trees go down and down. It was pretty exciting.
Luckily for Eric Weiss, him and his wife made it out of the storm without any damage.
No damage, just just us being home alone for 24 hours. Yeah. Like all married couples. So everything else was good. Yeah. I love my wife though.
But his neighbor Judd Friedman, not so lucky, as a large tree is now resting on the back of his home. But in his eyes, this is the best case scenario.
And the main thing was it didn't crash my windows. It didn't take out my deck. So I was really happy.
All right, I wanted to show you some reports here from our First Alert weather watchers, and you can see over 3 inches of rain reported from Tyler Young in Trussville, over 4 inches reported. That was a 2-day total from Joseph Williamson in Talladega, but we're getting more and more of those reports. Certainly appreciate our weather watchers, and listen, if you ever have any reports you want to share with us here on Weather Extra, you can always send those, tweet those to us, become a First Alert weather watcher. But we'll go back over to a live look here. This is from the Tuscaloosa Riverwalk, but you can see the Warrior River and how high the river is. It was certainly very elevated today, so I know with all that rain that we had last night, we'll continue to see all that wet weather flow downstream, so we'll have some higher rivers here through the weekend. But if you are out on the water, just know there could be some foggy weather early tomorrow morning. Be safe out there. Also around the lakes and just every location will have a chance. We're seeing some dense fog overnight because of all that rain that we had. But 7 p.m. right now through 9 o'clock, most areas still just tumbling down into the 50s, but past midnight we'll see more 40s on the map. Overnight lows by 6 o'clock in the morning showing temperatures down into the 40s, and you can see where the data is actually picking up on some of the low clouds and fog possibilities there early tomorrow morning. Other than this, rest of the weekend looks incredible. Yeah, chilly in the morning, afternoon highs around 70, but even in the morning, once that sunshine comes back, if you want to get a walk or run in early tomorrow, that's really going to help us out there early in the day. Light breeze out of the east-northeast, not super windy. It is going to be a perfect afternoon, but highs tomorrow in the low 70s. We go a little bit warmer Sunday. It will be a chilly start, but warmer during the afternoon. But look at this, already several days out, the Storm Prediction Center highlighting a risk for severe weather out here across the central part of the country. Here's the thing, next week we don't see a lot of rain through the middle of the week, but we'll start to see the storms really ramping up back to the west. I think if yesterday showed us one thing, we have kicked off the spring storm season, and we need to watch late next week as the temperatures start to really crank up. We'll start to see highs close to 80 towards the end of the week, but notice by the middle of the week, there's Wednesday next week, you can see back in here where some storms will be possible and possibly a severe weather risk, but that system stalls, so it doesn't quite make it here for the middle of the week. We might get an isolated shower. You see these arrows, the winds out of the south. We're on the backside of high pressure, so we'll have winds coming out of the south that'll pump in Gulf moisture and also some clouds and maybe a couple of isolated showers at times, maybe with some morning low clouds. We could see that possibility, but just not a lot of rain. We stay dry during the work week, so if you have plans Monday through Friday, it looks dry for the most part. But when we get to next weekend, watch towards the end of the week. There's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's the first full weekend of March. We need to watch in here for the possibility of some heavier rain and some of these storm impacts possibly reaching us during that time frame. So that's what we're going to be watching. Highs towards the end of the week around 80 degrees. And when you look at that First Alert 10-day forecast, one thing we always watch out for this time of the year, you know another cold snap's coming. We're going to see highs around 80 degrees. Will we start to see that next cold front there towards the end of the week? So that will be one to certainly watch, but at least we have some nice weather to enjoy. Temperatures in the 70s and even the overnight lows quite mild down into the 50s, but above average temperatures, Tania. But that last frost typically averages around mid-April, so it's still way too soon. I know this weekend you're going to want to get out there, do a little planting, but hold off for right now.
Yeah, I would say hold off too, because although some of the afternoons could be warmer, like Wes was mentioning, some of these overnight conditions are still going to be pretty chilly, and we may just have another freezing night as we enter the month, maybe not enter the month of March, but sometime during the month of March. But on average, our temperatures are trending above average. We've got March 7th through March the 13th, our temperature outlook, and that's including most of the United States, and of course right here across the southeast. And I'm seeing lots of warm southerly flow as we move into the first few days of the month of March. But yeah, we're going to keep our close eye on those temperatures, and we'll take a look at those rain chances a little more next week and really fine tune our beyond that 10-day forecast. But overall, I'm tracking above average rainfall across the southeast and across most of the nation. It's been 5 days since a blizzard walloped the northeast, dumping record amounts of snowfall across multiple states. Now the National Guard is stepping in to help with the cleanup in Massachusetts. Ted Wayman has the story.
This was not dissimilar to 78, and because of the hurricane force winds and because of the amount of snow that fell over the course of 24 hours, 36 hours in some instances.
Some here will tell you 40 inches of snow fell in Fall River, and 4 days later they are still digging out.
100 pieces from upstate New York, which most of them are the ones that are here now. And they're helping us out. It's a big undertaking. It's the most snow we've got. I was around for 78 when we got whatever it was, around 30 inches. But this was a lot more.
MassDOT crews are still blowing snow from Route 3 to make it wider. Residents in Fall River are still opening up their neighborhoods, and members of the Mass National Guard are still in Duxbury helping with medical emergencies.
Things are starting to look a little bit better here. We got warm weather moving in, and some pretty significant clearance has helped open up a lot of the roads.
We're here for as long as it takes to get this done. We're not going to abandon you, and we're going to make sure that we get your roads open so you guys can get around and move around.
People living in Connecticut townhome communities say they woke up to a very shocking sight this week. No, it was not snow. It's what was happening while the snow was falling. Victoria Anderson spoke to the neighbors about the unusual occurrence.
You could barely see anything out your window Monday morning here in Ellington, but when renters at the Deer Valley townhomes looked outside their door, they saw something surprising in the snow.
Apparently there's a man talking loudly on the phone who is naked. Roger.
We've never really had any issues that ever, nothing like that. Yeah. We had a bear, but that's it. That's a bit different. Yeah.
It was a startling start to Lori Maslick's Monday when she heard screaming just outside her door around 5 a.m.
But it was just someone talking very loud or screaming, or you would think somebody was needing help.
And she wasn't alone. Several other renters at the Deer Valley townhomes told me they saw a man completely naked, walking in circles, screaming, ringing doorbells, and banging on doors.
At that point, at 5:30 in the morning, I'm thinking there was probably a good 6 to 8 inches worth of snow, besides the wind.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be absolutely with no clothes on, that's just terrifying.
With temperatures sinking under 30 degrees and gusts of wind reaching 40 miles an hour, just 30 minutes clothed can give you frostbite, let alone without clothes. Luckily, renters spotted police and EMS outside shortly after the man was first seen.
Nobody's out running around naked in a blizzard unless something's not entirely right.
Warren McGrath told us he and his neighbors want to know who was it and how did he get that far. And the complex told us the same. One of their team members told us they haven't heard anything from police and first heard about the incident from a Facebook post.
Tonight at 7, catch WBRC 6 News on the WBRC streaming app with host Jazz Williams. First Alert weather, live updates, and trending stories you need before the night's over. You don't want to miss what's happening right now. WBRC 6 News now at 7. Search for WBRC in your TV's app store to download.
All right, know a lot of you were watching us last night. I was checking our weather watcher in Pell City, Bobby Rowe, over 6 inches of rainfall.
Man, I believe it. Some of those
Yeah.
got just slammed west. It was crazy.
Well, with all the rain, got to watch for some fog early in the day, but tomorrow morning looks like the coldest morning on the 10-day.
Oh yeah, we've got some chilly conditions in the morning hours, but beautiful temps for the afternoons. Let's take a look at some of your pictures that you sent in. Some cool ones, Wes, like this one.
A lot of lightning out there last night. You get some big hail producers. You're going to see quite a lightning show, but this is what it looked like in Hamilton last night. Thanks to Jake Ford for sharing this image from the First Alert weather app.
And this is what it looked like last night over Red Mountain. You might have heard some of the thunder from the lightning while we were live streaming Weather Extra. We even have a little power outage here on top of the news station, or on top of the mountain. Thanks to JP Jones for sending that picture
Yeah,
in.
I believe it's RJ there, but we did have some thunder on the mountain last night, Tania. It was rumbly, but hey, much quieter tonight. Enjoy this pleasant weekend. We'll have more on next week in the extended forecast tonight, first at 9.